Thanks for tuning into Talking Point today. I'm your host, Neeraj Shah. And the conversation today is with the management of Havells. They've come out with a quarter yesterday, which was by all means a very good quarter. Not only did the top line growth obviously look better than what they would have done, and they had guided to this at the end of the first quarter itself. But I think on the operational metrics, they've yet again surprised. The question is, though, how is the festive quarter looking like? And is a probable promising quarter three a harbinger of things to come? Let's pose that question to Mr. Anil Gupta. He joins us right now on the show. Mr. Gupta, good having you. Thanks so much for joining in. Hope all is safe.
Yes, thank you very much, Neeraj. All is safe.
Thank you so much. So I would love to break this into two conversations, Mr. Gupta. One is, of course, for Havells, which we will talk about. And then at the end, I would love to get your opinion on how India Inc. and the economy might be doing as well as per your lens. But first, your quarter, how do you think it shaped up? I mean, 10% is maybe not fantastic compared to the benchmarks that you set, but considering it was still a lockdown impacted quarter, are you happy with the top line performance?
Yeah, I think we are quite satisfied with the performance. Obviously, when we started out the quarter, we were not expecting that much. We braced for, we were talking about how much will we be able to recover sales in last year. So actually getting a good growth over last year has been a very positive move. I think even if we break it down, this growth for Havells, if we take out Lloyd, which grew more than 50%, but even for Havells, within that 6% growth, the consumer and residential demand actually grew mid-teens. So the part which is lagging still is the industrial infrastructure demand, which actually over the quarter was lower than last year. But I think we are seeing a recovery there now as well. But the positive part was that the consumer and residential demand grew in mid-teens. So that was very satisfying. And I think that augurs well for the coming quarters, that the which Havells has always had is now paying dividends. It's not just the market expansion, but also certain market share gains in many product categories, which has helped this growth.
Yeah, I'm certain. Is it looking strong, not from a market gain perspective, but purely from getting back to normalcy across products? Is it looking stronger in quarter three? We have about 29 days now of October and some part of the festive season too. How is it looking?
I would say the strength of the quarter two is still holding up. The festive season is going fine, strong. We don't have many product categories which are very festive oriented focus, except domestic appliances or some amount of lighting. But that said, even there we are seeing definitely a good demand. So I think the third quarter is holding up as the second quarter did well.
Now, obviously, the operational end was a really big positive surprise, and a large portion of it is advertising and promotion. And I read in your release that those costs are actually coming back to normalcy, if I'm not wrong. So can you tell us a bit about how would the equation shape up or change? Because it's been a wonderful show in quarter two. You obviously won't be able to show that kind of cost control in quarter three.
Well, obviously when the pandemic came, there were certain costs that you look at, and certain costs you could take out only because of the fact that the volumes would remain low during this time. But there were certain other costs which are sort of bad costs which get built in the organization, which you start looking at and bringing back efficiencies. So I think going forward, what we believe is that yes, certain good costs like advertising and promotion, we don't consider it as a cost of sales, but we consider it as an investment, because in our product category, you need to build the brand for a longer period of time. It's not for impulse buying that you need to attract the consumer for buying your product. So advertising is always looked at as an investment. While we could take it out for some time, in the first half because of the uncertainty, but we would be reverting back to normalcy levels because we need to build the brand for the future. But the other costs, certain costs, obviously travel costs are still low, but certain good costs will come back and are coming back. So I don't see that, sort of SG&A savings and all that is a big plus, but obviously, what we have taken out of the bad costs, factories are operating more efficiently than before. So, the improvement in the margins that you see, the contribution margins, I think that is a very positive outcome of this whole, not a very good situation to have, but at least some positives if we can look at.
But that wouldn't have been a very large number, would it have been? I mean, the bad costs.
Yeah, I mean, it's not only the bad cost. There might not have been bad costs, but ways of working are changing. So
Of
I think
course.
that is in future. If we continue to retain those costs, those will be bad costs.
Okay.
The whole
Fair.
the whole digital, drive, moving deeper through more digital channels rather than just. So I think those would be considered bad costs in future.
Yeah, such a commonly used name now, phygital, as everybody likes using them for the combination of physical and digital. Now, one of the things that you stated, sir, in your release is that while the COVID-led disruptions are declining, but regionally impacted with lockdowns, which I'm presuming would not be for your operations, but maybe for your distribution and sales. Is it still very prevalent, and could it hamper the recovery that you might potentially see in Q3 otherwise?
I think hopefully it should not, because these are very few. To name a couple of states where we saw some lockdowns happen, Kerala or Chhattisgarh, Hyderabad. We definitely face certain flood-related issues and all that. But I think from a manufacturing point of view, that we've not faced any disruptions. From a demand point of view, in certain cases, as I said, overall, many of the industrial projects, capex projects, infra projects have not really come back in full force. So those are the kind of disruptions which have remained. Hopefully, this should even out in the coming times.
Mm. The consumer end, and in some fashion, I see you in a sweet spot of sorts, right? Because the government's focus through PLI schemes and through everything else on the Atmanirbhar Bharat, or Make in India refurbished, as we call it, that at least in some of the categories that you have, you're present right there. Now, how do you think this will have a bearing? And this won't probably be just 1 or 2 quarters phenomenon, but maybe a 3, 4, 5-year phenomenon. How do you see that whole piece, and how do you see it working for Havells?
I think for integrated manufacturers like Havells, we've always maintained that we produce 95% of what we sell in India. For integrated manufacturers who try to manufacture, not just assemble, we manufacture most of the products. So it's quite a positive move. I think government has been putting in focus for the last 6 years. I think they're moving progressively towards Atmanirbharta, and why not? I mean, we've always shown that in India, if we produce, we can be competitive against any country in the world. We can be competitive against China, for that matter. We've not had to import, electrical products. Most of the consumers sometimes feel that all the electrical products come from China, but Havells has always resorted not to depend upon China. In fact, when we acquired Lloyd air conditioners, 90% of the products used to be imported from China. Just after the acquisition, we set up our manufacturing facilities. We became competitive against China, and last year our dependence on China went away completely. So I think this has come at the right opportune time, that government has now prohibited imports of products like air conditioners, which augurs very well for integrated manufacturers like Lloyd and Havells. So I think going forward, and there is a focus by the government on increasing not only production in India for India, but also for exports. So I think that also going forward is a very positive step.
So can I just probe on that a little bit, Mr. Gupta? I was speaking to one of your fellow industrialists, Shekhar Bajaj, and he was saying that they might also look at not just probably exporting their brand, but even doing back-end manufacturing. I'm not saying you're planning something like that, but my whole question is, one, that you are in the right product categories. You've shown that expertise by producing in India and making a competitive price-ly product, which is well placed on the quality standards as well. And with these all incentives coming in, would you believe that because of the market opening up and you gaining market share, as you alluded to, you might want to / have to expand capacities from what they are, if not immediately in the next 6 months to 9 months, but later on?
Yeah, so products where we are globally competitive, and both on quality and cost, why we should not use our manufacturing facilities to manufacture for brands across the world. A case in point is our switchgear division, where we manufacture circuit breakers for Hyundai for many of their markets. And this is not really known because we are one of the lowest cost producers in the world for miniature circuit breakers. We export to markets like Europe and all. So why we should not use India as the factory for other countries? Tomorrow, if air conditioners we become globally competitive, we should start looking at exporting out of India, and also to manufacture for certain brands as well. So I think what the strength that Havells has, that we have a very strong distribution channel and brand within India. Outside, we are developing our exports, but in the meantime, if opportunities come, we should sweat our assets, manufacturing assets. And to answer your question on the capital expenditure, setting up of new plants and facilities, yes, obviously we've always been ahead in terms of building capacities even before the demand starts coming in. So we will be looking at raising our capex plans, looking at the next 6 months how they pan out.
Okay. Last couple of questions, Mr. Gupta. One is on how do you see quarter 3, quarter 4? I mean, I don't think it's possible to probably see much more far out in these times, but would you believe the run rate on the revenue growth front can improve in quarter 3, quarter 4 versus what you've done in quarter 2?
Well, we are hoping for that. So we are working towards that, hoping towards that. So let's see how the quarter moves. When we started the second quarter, we never expected that this growth and operational efficiencies will come. So we are at the start of the third quarter. Let's see how things pan out. But definitely, we are always optimistic.
Okay, one last question, Mr. Gupta, and that is on what I hear from your peers, right? So Titan, for example, said that they might actually get back to 90%, 100% of YOY. I mean, which is good, but not great. L&T, the CFO, I heard him say yesterday that things are looking very, very uncertain in the current scenario, and they refuse to give guidance. There are some others who are saying that they're actually capturing market share, not by killing others, but it's just happening naturally. And for them, business is looking strong too. How would you look at how the economy is looking like as we hit the festive season and possibly quarter 4?
Neeraj, I can say definitely, the market is looking much better than what we were expecting it to be, right? So it's very difficult to say how it will remain for the next few months or quarters. But we should feel satisfied that we are not in that kind of a problem that we were expecting to be at the start of the year. So we are positive, and I think we are also, maybe the market is expanding. Let's say X, maybe we are gaining market share and growing X plus Y. So that is possible. And with every disruption like this, organized players after demonetization, after GST, companies who pay their taxes well, and those kind of companies gain. So maybe with this disruption also some amount of readjustment has happened in the distribution chain and supply chain as well. So maybe we've gained certain market shares as well.
Okay. Well, appreciate these views, Mr. Gupta. Keep up the good work, stay safe, and all the best for the quarters ahead.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Neeraj.
Thank you. And thanks, viewers, for tuning into this earnings conversation.